We'll see you in next game. Hello everybody, this is Rainbows here with game 2 of a best of 3 between Tester and Gretorp in the Gosu Cup second weekly tournament thingamabob. We can see that Tester is Red Terran at the 12 o'clock and Desert Oasis, and Gretorp is the Red Protoss at the 12 o'clock and Desert Oasis, and Gretorp is the Blue Terran. So again, Tester, Red Protoss, Gretorp, Blue Terran. I am bad. So I did a little bit of research on Gretorp, and apparently he is a Team Pandemic StarCraft 1 player. So he was a professional StarCraft 1 player, and he got sponsored. But other than that, I can't really find that much on him. And that's Team Pandemic, not Pandemic Legion. I think the other one would honestly be more exciting, because that would mean that he is good at a different game. Or at least has political skills in a different game. Whoa! Gretorp is proxying Iraqs at 11. That's kind of cool. I don't really see that kind of stuff that often. But Desert Oasis is a little bit of a funky map. I've seen a couple of proxy pylons coming up there, actually from Tester, and people just proxy things in general on this map. I've actually been the victim of at least one proxy Stargate, where the Stargate was obscenely close to my main, and I had no excuse because I was playing Zerg at the time and had overloads. It's like, lol. So, you do see proxies on Desert Oasis, is what I'm trying to say, but the timing of this barracks is a little weird. I mean, the barracks is coming up right at the normal time that a barracks would be up, and it does look like, I'm just going to assume that Gretorp is going Reapers, just because that's what people do. And he does have a gas, and he's thrown down a tech lab, so he's either going Reapers or Marauders. Hopefully Reapers, and by hopefully I mean probably. Tester is going to be able to get a Cybernetics core and a Stalker up in time to deal with Reaper eventually, but it's going to be able to deal a fair amount of damage and definitely justify placing the barracks there. Because the barracks was so late, there's practically no economic hit for Gretorp, and we do see that there's a probe inside Gretorp's base for Tester, so Tester knows exactly what's going on. Tester does not necessarily know exactly where the Reaper is coming from or how soon it's going to be, but he does know there are going to be relatively fast Reapers. And the first one is going to come in momentarily. We actually see a bunker coming up by Gretorp, and this is a very, very nice move. You can put a bunker or a spine crawler or a cannon right there, and if you've got vision, you can shoot up and kill probes. And it's fairly easy to get vision by a number of means. A Zealot for Gretorp is coming over to attack... A Zealot for Tester, I'm sorry. He's coming over, wow, to attack Gretorp's bunker, but there is a Reaper out for Gretorp, and this Reaper is going to be able to do a bunch of damage before dying. Hopefully it's got 2 kills already. 2 probe kills, and it's going to be coming up momentarily. Oh my gosh, Zealot right there, right where it wants to jump up. We can see that Tester's doing a very nice job of getting a pylon up on that ledge, just so that he can get vision of that Reaper a little bit easier, and this Reaper is going to be able to take down that Zealot, but there is a Stalker being chrono boosted for Tester, and that's certainly going to make Tester's job much, much, much easier. 2 Reapers now. Reapers 3-shot probes, and they do decent damage to Zealots, but they don't quite 3-shot them. As we can see, more than 3 shots did get off on that Zealot before those Reapers went down. But there is a Stalker up for Tester now, so there's not really a whole bunch more that Gretorp can do with these Reapers. And I don't really know why he's still producing them. That's a bit of a waste of money. And Gretorp is just going to go ahead and grab the gold, which is a interesting decision. He was able to kill about... cheating. He was able to kill about 4 probes. I'm not sure how the math works out on that. He's able to kill 2 probes and 2 Zealots with his Reapers. I am good at those fancy problems. At the cost of 3 Reapers, which means that he's not really ahead at all. And he doesn't really have very much control. And as long as Tester just keeps the Stalker in his base, if Gretorp keeps producing Reapers, he's literally just throwing away money. Gretorp, in the meantime, is actually getting Reaper speed, which is nice to have, but it's not. Oh my gosh, is that a proxy Stargate where I think it is? Wow! Tester is a freaking baller, and he's like, hey, if you can hide things on this map where I can't find them, because he actually has not found that proxy yet, then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to proxy a void array right outside your main, and you don't even have any anti-air, so lol. So what's going to happen is, as soon as the Stargate pops, there's going to be a void array chrono boosted out of it, and Gretorp is going straight Tech Lab barracks, which signals an intention to go very heavy Marine and Marauder, and neither Marines nor Marauders can shoot up, despite the fact... neither a very heavy Marauder and Reaper. You don't necessarily want to be building Marines from a Tech Lab barracks. And neither Marauders or Reapers can shoot up, despite the fact that Reapers can jump on cliffs. What I've always kind of wondered why you don't do is, you've got a bunch of Reapers, right, and they can jump up cliffs. So a bunch of Reapers form like a wall for some of your Reapers to jump on top of, and then they form a smaller wall for more Reapers to, so you just form like a freaking step ladder, and then you get up and you throw concussive whatever grenades at the Void Rays and kill them. But unfortunately Blizzard does not allow us to do that. That is emergent gameplay, and emergent gameplay is evil. Warp Gate's upgrade coming up for Tester. Tester is still operating off of a single Warp Gate. I wonder where all of his minerals are going. And he's just proxying this Void Ray. Wow. And gretorp has no anti-air. gretorp literally has no anti-air. He's producing a single Marine. And this Void Ray can just kill as many SCVs as it wants to. Being on the SCVs and gas isn't necessarily the best choice, just because they do pop in and out of that refinery right there, which makes it a little bit harder to kill them. I don't necessarily think that he should be focusing on the command center right now. Like he's obviously doing a very good job. He's killed 7 SCVs so far, and he's about to kill 2 Marines, just because charged up Void Rays eat Marines for breakfast. We can see that gretorp is going into full Marine production mode, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough to take down this Void Ray, especially with the second Void Ray coming in to add even more support. So gretorp can't mine at his main. He does have this natural, and by natural I mean gold, set up, and he is mining a fair amount out of that, but the incomes aren't even close right now. And gretorp is GGing just because he's, no matter how many more barracks or whatever he adds on, he's never going to be able to outproduce the Void Rays that Tester has. So, very, very well played by Tester, not so well done by gretorp IMO. Reapers are a bit stale. I think, honestly, the hottest thing that Terran can do right now is they either don't build a barracks, and they get gas, and they go, oh, I'm going Reapers, proxy Reapers, when somebody's scouting them, just because, you know, you see supply depot, refinery, no barracks, you're like, oh my god, Reapers. And if Terran's just building a command center somewhere, it's like, lol. And then Terran throws down barracks and just macros up like normal afterwards. I think that would be very interesting. Or anything where you say, I could be getting Reapers here, so I'm going to force you to take a little bit of extra steps via these Stalkers to prepare for them, and then you just build things that are bad against, that Stalkers are bad against, like Marauders. And you try to really exploit the fact that you're making your opponent do things that are bad for him. You're making him drink and drive, so to speak. And I think that actually going Reapers is not that effective, just because against good players it will be countered. Good players will get the barracks, and by barracks I mean bunker, in their mineral line, or the one stalker, or the queen, or the speedlings, or whatever they personally feel they need to deal with Reapers. And they'll get that very quickly. And they'll maybe take a little bit of damage, but do keep in mind that you're building Reapers, and Reapers are a waste of production if you don't do a bunch of damage with them. If you kill like one, 2 drones or probes or whatever, then they're out 100 minerals and you're out 50 minerals and 50 gas, and the production time in your barracks. And I guess that they're at the production time in their command center hatchery or whatever too. But the point is, it gets to be very even, unless you keep the Reapers alive forever and use them as scouting. I've actually played against a couple of Terrans who used on Coolus when I was playing Zerg, who used Reapers to a very nice effect, just to do a little bit of harass, and then he pulled off and he just positioned them strategically around the map, so I couldn't Zergling scout, so I had to Overlord scout, and then he used Vikings and Marines to really shut that down, and I thought that was really cool, just that he had a use for the Reapers after he used them initially. And I'm just kind of ranting right here, and I'm not ranting about what Tester is doing, and I do actually want to touch on that before I close this, so please bear with me if you find me interesting, and if you don't, you can just alt F4 or whatever. I mean, it's your frickin' life. There's nothing keeping this video open. Tester plays very standard. Tester gets a Stalker up to deal with the Reapers, and then he just macros, and then he proxies Void Rays. And I even as weird or creative as proxying Void Rays, I think seems, Void Rays are very, very standard right now in PvT, if what I read on forums is correct. I dabble in both races enough that I kind of know what I'm talking about. Void Rays are very powerful because they're hard to deal with when you've got a ground support army, because they've got very high range, so they're hard to kill. They've got very high DPS, so they do a bunch of damage, and they can easily mop up all of the units that can deal with them, all of the anti-air, all of the Marines, all of the Vikings, all of the what have you. And this is very reminiscent of Broodlords. And I'm not saying that Void Rays are the literal analog to Broodlords. They certainly don't screw with units AI, and they certainly don't spew broodlings everywhere. But they're very similar in the fact that they're very hard for ground units to kill, because of their incredible range, and they do a bajillion DPS, and they're much, much, much better when they're backed up with something. Broodlords are obviously interesting